Hey you guys, I am back working on the program. It was funny, I thought I did way more work than I actually did the last time I had posted kind of consecutively. Kind of filmed everything at once, got it out, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the program. This is it's an undertaking, and it's a commitment, and it's a commitment that I'm making to you, for the sake of you, for the sake of me, for the sake of everything. It's like nature. What is beneficial to one section, one portion, one species, whatever, is beneficial to the rest overall. There's the homeostasis I always like to talk about. But anyway, right now we're talking about the switch work. We're into the gist of this. What is switch work? We've talked a little bit about the shadow work. Papers flying around. We talked about the law of attraction, we talked about shadow work, and now we're kind of going into the itch part. The switch, bitch. Okay, the switch is the shadow work and inner child healing. And this is something that you can flip. You flip the switch. It's the action of doing it. It's why it's called that. This is beyond being, it just came to me. I don't think it's my creation. It's just me recognizing something as the way that it is. And they're both very connected, and they're both healing. And when you have this mystical kind of deep healing, truly like deep within you and everything, it's like a switch. It's like a switch gets flipped. Say that 10 times fast. So we're going to get into this again. And what is it? We've got to talk a lot about this, because we're going to be talking about this for a while. You know what I mean? Like, inner healing is going to be the whole new thing for the brand new millennium. Or new decade, shall we say. It's not the millennium, Claire. That was 20 years ago. 20 fucking years ago. Can you believe this shit? It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay? So, we talked about the switch work. We've talked about the fact that we are judging others. We are utilizing our natural judgments that we need to be making. These judgments are ingrained in our DNA. They are made to help us be who we are. They are made to help us survive. Sorry if I'm getting excited. I just really believe in this stuff so much, and I want to spread it and yell it to the entire world. The entire world. Because even if you already know this, then guess what? Hear it again. Get it into your subconscious even deeper, so that you and learn it to that point where it's so dumbed down. It's so, it so well that you could explain it to a kindergartner. That's how you know if you really know something. So it's knowing. Knowing. You know what I mean? We always think we know. We come from this egotistical frame point, which helps us, but it can also be our detriment, just like everything else. Pick your poison, that sort of thing. So anyway, the switch work, the shadow work, we judge. We judge ourselves or others. Doesn't matter for the shadow work, okay? When we're upset, we can do this. When we're being judgy, actually gossipy and judgy, that's what you need to listen to the most. Anytime you're drawn to think or say, or act against, a person in a way that you're not proud of, stop and do this. It's the shadow, and like I said, it pops up and people become comfortable with it. It becomes a part of this whole culture, collective, persona that everybody tries to embody to try to fit in subconsciously. See it on Twitter all the time. That is the most site where it's like that. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, I am on Twitter. Say hi. Say hi, guys. Okay, so you're just with shadow work, like I said, you're judging. It doesn't matter whether you're judging somebody else. You're judging. Either you're being judging, you have the action of judging, or you're just straight up upset with somebody. But this is also judging, even if it's not what you would think of when you think of judging. Because ultimately, you're expecting something out of somebody, that they're not ready to give, or that you're not getting from them. You're upset. And our reptilian brain, our basic instinct, and what we all do when we're young, is to and immature. I want to say young and immature, because age doesn't really have anything to do with it. I'm not being ageist here, guys, okay? So, sorry. So, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're upset with yourself, upset with somebody else. Usually it's going to show whatever you need to know is probably going to show first from the outside, and then you're going to see it in yourself if it gets bad enough. But take care of the shit as it goes. Make it your lifestyle to just do this work, okay? So, like I said, shadow work deals with you judging and being upset with yourself or others. The inner child healing work is more to go judge your past, okay? And the word judge, again, don't be getting caught up in judgy, change the words around if you need to, because this is a good form of judgment. This is a form of judgment that is just. This is true judge, like judgment card, like rising to the next level, like making the final verdict that is best for the collective and moving on. It's like the Supreme Court of the spiritual realm, and you help contribute to that every time you do this work. So with shadow work, again, recap. I know I keep recapping. If you haven't seen the video, you will at least have some idea of what I'm talking about. So you're judging somebody else, you're upset, somebody's pissing you off. I have many videos on this to get into the nitty gritty, what to do, what to say, what to think, how to go through this process. But right now, I just mainly want to kind of compare the shadow work with the inner child healing, and like what it is, what it isn't, how they work together, how they're the same ultimately. So again, they both use this system of flipping the switch. Okay, that's why they're both part of the switch program. Okay, so when you flip the switch, you're taking the judgment, and there's always going to be an axis. There's always an axis, and you flip it. You have 4 different spaces here, that you can flip it. At least there's probably more. We don't even need, if you feel called to go explore other options other than the 4 that are most easily thought about, then yeah, go for it. Of course, it's going to expand, and there's always going to be a dualistic nature of that knowledge that you're perceiving. But you flip it, okay? Because when it comes out, and sometimes I always say this, you have to boil it down. Sometimes, oh, so-and-so said this to me. Well, you can't really flip that. You can't really work with that. Did I say that to them? No. Did they not say that? No. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. So you boil it down to something that is actually more basic, more meaningful, more emotional. Again, not just something that they did, but something, how it makes you feel. Okay, so first you're going to start off and you're just going to let yourself vent. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to give myself time and space to vent right now, in my car, in my house, wherever, in my safe space. And I may even write it down. I may even video record it. Just let it out and see what comes out. However you like to do that, let it out. You know what I mean? And then you deal with it. You judge it. You reframe it, and you pack it up and ship it off and say, this is the way that it is. And this is the new way that we're looking at this. Okay? So, again, many metaphors that you can use for this throughout my channel, throughout my program, on my playlist. I have many different metaphors for this, but this is what we're going with this time. So, again, you flip it in the negative and the positive, and then you flip it for the subjects. Okay? So your first flip it is always, it's like, well, I always do the subjects first. I pretty much always start off with, how am I doing that? Oh, so-and-so's pissing me off. Okay, well, why are they pissing you off? Well, so-and-so's being neglectful. Okay, well, guess what? I'm being neglectful. Admit it, own it, seek to see how you feel about it, and then see what you're going to do about it, and then do it, and then it will change. Okay, it's not just thinking, it's not just reframing and thinking. This is making it happen and putting it into place. You're laying out the foundation for what is going to be happening in the future. Again, like a Supreme Court judge, this is how everybody's going to deal with this from now on. Okay, this is how you are going to deal with thoughts of this nature and this realm and this energy in moving forward. So you flip it. How am I doing this? Am I doing that? Fix it. Am I expecting that? Do I believe this to be true? And then you flip it. Am I not doing this? Am I am doing this? See, there's like always like at least 4 ways that you can flip it. Just the opposite. They're being annoying. Okay, so that's your complaint. They're being annoying. And so you say, well, how am I being annoying? You know, and then you say, well, they're not being annoying. And then you say, well, they are being annoying. So you validate your own feelings at the same time that you basically see their perspective, you know, because even though we have our connected energies with people, it doesn't mean our thoughts are always going to be the same. So that's kind of the fun part, is to meet up holistically with other people, you know, because you and me and our partners, we're all having all of these different things go on. And, you know, when you meet somebody, you don't think about all the shit they're dealing with. You don't think about their social, their emotional, their physical ailments they may be having, you know, all of this stuff, like their heartache and their inner child's bullshit that they're carrying around. We're just thinking about ourselves. How dare you, Karen? You know, we give people space to mess up. We don't hold the other people at a higher standard than we would ultimately hold ourselves. And a lot of this just has to do with, the bottom line is forgiveness, because you're ultimately going in and saying, well, you're being a fucking bitch, you're pissing me off. Well, guess what? I've been a bitch to you in the past, so I fucked you over too. You know what? Am I going to be mad? Are we going to be mad about this forever for no reason when we're both in the wrong? No, you let it go. Forgive. When you forgive, you don't even have to. Yeah, you can show the person, you can tell them, you can write a letter, write a poem. It doesn't matter. If you have the energy, that's enough. That's more than enough. That's real deal right there. That's why an apology, you know, we all know an apology until the actions back it up. Y'all know that, right? Teach your kids that. Teach your sons that. Yeah, you show up. You don't just talk. Okay? So we're going in. We're dealing with our feelings, we're dealing with our judgments, and we're dealing with anything that's pissing us off. Any emotion that's off, even physical stuff. If it's off, see what's up with it. There's a message somewhere in this, no matter what it is, even if it seems mundane, like your car. It's still your environment, it's still your energy, it's still a sign. Deal with it before it gets even bigger, okay? Again, law of attraction, true law of attraction, holistic law of attraction should be taught to kids. Please like, share, subscribe, etc. Take the lessons. Go show your friends. You know, go. Like, spread the love. Okay, this is what it's all about. This is going to help us bring the world V into place, the world peace. Okay, this vegan world where this energy is not so evil, floating around, torture in our heads, in our minds, in reality, everything in the energies. Getting back into the soil, it's like we're saturated in our own karma. It's disgusting. Our karma is fucking disgusting right now. We need to fix it. Anyway, that's what this is about. When you see that, again, this is shadow work. What I just did, what we're doing together right now, this is shadow work. I was judging the earth. See, this doesn't have to be, that's a funny thing, because I just wrote down right there. I'm gonna circle this right now. Judging yourself, judging others, or the world. When you judge the collective, you better believe that means something too. You better believe it. Always go in. Again, write it down, look it up, see what you just said, what you just thought, and do the work on that thought, because it's screaming to you. Again, the more passionate you are, the more heated the argument, you know, the more you're off your base, the more important it is that you drop everything and deal with this. Deal with this thought, deal with this emotion, do the switch work, okay? So we've talked about the switch work. You judge, you get upset, something's wrong, you look into it, you're digging it up, you're seeing what's going on with it, you're pulling it out, it's like a dinosaur. You don't know, it's fossils, you don't know what to do with it. Oh, you gotta take the time, reframe it, make it something you can deal with, okay? Put your own little thing on it, okay? So inner child healing has to do, again, with going just to your past. It's basically doing what we just did, kind of flipping the switch on the past. It just kind of tends to work itself out a little bit differently, but again, overall, pretty much the same. So with our past, you have a lot of other factors, because this is something that happened a long time ago. Our memories can be wrong. You know what I mean? It happens. You know, sometimes we just have this really skewed, not to say we can't have wrong memories happening in the, you know, wrong perceptions in the moment, but it's just a different element. Again, when you're dealing with it in the past, you just have to go and kind of put yourself in that shoes and see what was going on at that time. You just have to be there. And for some people that is painful. For some people it really hurts, especially if you're dealing with a big trauma. But after you get over that trauma, you're still going to have to deal with all the other things that maybe are not so big. It's a way of life. This is what we do. We look at our shit, we deal with our shit. This is taking care of business. Okay? You have to deal with it or it will deal with you. Okay? You go into your past and you, just like you're judging, again, you're judging earlier, now we're judging we're basically judging the final result of the processing of what we did. So again, in our processing of any moment is going to be looking at, you know, is going to be how you think about it, is going to lay the foundation for how you feel about it, which is going to lay the foundation for what you believe and then what you achieve and what actually physically happens and then how that leads up to your life in a general bigger way. So it's always this kind of same pattern, okay? And if your thoughts are wrong about it, then that's going to make wrong intentions, and then you're going to have wrong actions happening, and it's a cycle of this is why negative things always seem to happen to you. This is why your lessons haven't been learned and you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, like that sort of thing. Your memories can be wrong. Sometimes we just put too much importance on certain things. We make wrong assumptions about ourselves, about the world, about others, about the way that we expect others to treat us. We have just these incorrect understandings, again, of the way the world works, of karma, you know, like, oh, everybody's out to get me. Like, these are real things. Like, everybody has their spectrum of where these fearful and, you know, different thoughts lie. But it's all like has to deal with what you really truly expect and believe to be true is what you will get. This is where people don't get the law of attraction because they're just thinking about their thoughts and maybe their emotions. They're not thinking about the effect of their thoughts and their emotions on their actions over time, their habits, and then their beliefs and thoughts and actions about those habits and emotions. Okay, it's a cycle. It happens over and over again, and every positive thought, every positive feeling, every positive action, every positive habit, every positive result is going to get you into this state of mind where you have this momentum and you know what you're doing and you're doing it correctly and you love life and everything's great and everything's connected. It's like a battery. When you have, I always say this, like when you have all of your cylinders working, you know, like your different energies are all movement. There's no stagnation. Everything's spinning and flowing the way that it should. Life is beautiful. Bliss comes to you. You are wired for this. It is when we get stuck and stagnant in different areas, whether it be physical, whether it's mental. Usually they go together, okay? When we learn more, this is why educated people are healthier. Educated people are healthier. And it's the poor people who are not educated who are having the bulk of the obesity crisis that I have always spoke about on KlaireeBerry channel here. So, why, again, knowledge is power. When you know better, you do better. So that's why it's so important, especially for us who have the knowledge, to share it. And that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years. My diet, getting my diet more pure and getting used to a more pure diet and constantly like pushing the limits of the pure diet, it has led me to this side of myself and of understanding and of consciousness. Amen. Praise the Lord. Like, I am floored. I love it. I'm so obsessed with myself, where I'm at, and that is how we need to be. Do not be ashamed to pump yourself up. Do not be ashamed to toot your own horn. Because, girl, boy, I don't care what you are. If you don't do it, and not to be like nobody's going to do it, but nobody's going to do it until you do it. You got to show how valuable you are. You got to show the universe. It's not even about showing so-and-so. Look how much I'm worth. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you. Again, this is all about your thoughts and your emotions, creating your beliefs and expectations. Bottom line, what you expect to happen will happen. If it doesn't match up, you're crazy. I could go into this and into this. And it has to do with, okay, you have people who have different personalities. What do you call that? Multiple personalities, right? When certain people, it's been documented scientifically, when certain people have different personalities, they will have like high blood sugars. They will have like diabetes symptoms. Their eye colors can change. All of these different things. It's in our mind. It's what we believe to be true becomes true. It also, you can tie this together with the phenomenon of the phantom limb. When people get, if they have their arm cut off, like they will tell you, there's a phenomenon, if you haven't heard of it, a lot of people have, but, where you actually will believe it's there because that's what the mind has always known, and that's what the mind does. You feel an itch or you feel something on a hand that's not even there. Again, mind is, very important in creating reality, creating how you feel. The mind creates how you feel. That together creates, your beliefs and expectations, which creates how you act, which creates your results and your karma and your energy around you, which comes back and feeds again into your mental. Oh, either we did really well and now we feel great, or we did really shitty and now we feel shitty. Okay? So this is why we go back, because when fucked up shit happens, when we're young, we don't have the wherewithal to deal with it properly. We have learned a lot since then, hopefully. What, do you want to go outside again? Huh? I think he does. I took him on a nice, pretty walk, but it is nice outside right now. Anyways, we're going to finish this up here. And he lays down. He knows what's up. He knows. I expect him to know, so he knows. I expect him to be able to tell me. I expect myself to be able to read my dog, his signs, ask him questions, him understand words, and I speak to him. No, you do the same thing with kids. Speak to them as if they know. You never know what they know, so always speak to them as if they're, and I strongly, there's so much pseudo bullshit out there that says, don't lecture your kids. No, you go into those deep ass metaphors. I mean, even like something as simple as the wide road, like you can talk to kids about this and they get it. They get it, okay? Teach your kids to be deeper. They'll be deeper, faster, sooner. It'll make them better, yada, yada, yada. But first you got to deal with yourself. So again, inner child healing, we're going to our past. Sometimes you can frame it differently. If you're in a mood, something bubbles up and you deal with it because you're already thinking about something from your past. When you go for the holidays, shit pops up. You go back to visit family, shit pops up. Deal with it then. Deal with it as it's coming up. Is ideal. But you can also kind of go around and go kind of digging for it. And, you don't have to always say, okay, well, what's wrong? What was wrong with my childhood? And sometimes even with the shadow work too, you can go in and it's not like necessarily, oh, well, I'm not upset, so can I not do shadow work right now? Well, yeah, you can. If you can do proactive shadow work, and it's not a negative thing. People are like, oh, don't do shadow work all the time, but it's not always a negative thing. Because again, anytime you're transmuting, the energy is positive, and if it's not that negative in the first place, then it's not like it's bringing you off your kilter very much. And anyway, don't get me started over here. So you're going back and you're dealing with it. I kind of forgot where I was going with that, because I went back to switch work for some reason, and then yeah, sorry about that. I'm not going to even go back right now. I can answer the question later. If we need to catch that down below, then that's fine. But okay, so yeah, you're going back. If you can't, just a quick note on the shadow work. If you cannot seem to get anywhere with the flip it and switch it method, then just boil it down. Again, the bottom line is forgiveness, and the bottom line is that it is the inner child. And when you can go back and forgive your inner child, then you can also forgive others, because you know that they are also as innocent as your inner child is. Okay? if that makes sense. I hope you guys are following me. It's like we can't hold people to standards that, well, you know, they really didn't know any better. They weren't taught any better. Their situations in life were so fucked up I didn't even know. You know, all of this stuff that happens and we don't even know people. We don't even know what they went through. Not to excuse everything or allow things and let it happen. But when you're looking at the past and seeing this happen and being like, well, that person must have been in so much pain for them to treat me that way. Imagine what happened to them. And in that way, it's a very easy, simple way to transmute the energy. And again, it goes in with the inner child and the outer child. It's all about, life is literally about seeing ourselves as children. Again, see yourself as a child, you can forgive yourself because you only did what you could do with the way that you were treated, the things that you had to deal with growing up. You honestly did the best you could and you knew how at any given moment. I guarantee you. That's the way the light works. That's the way the light is. Some people get very far off their path and other people wonder. That's why we don't judge other people. We let God judge other people because we don't know what the fuck's going on with them. You don't know what the fuck's going on with anybody, even if you think you do. Okay? So that's the thing. Try to reach out. Try to have these connections with people because, you know, the more you can be in connection with people, you know, the better. So we're going with the inner child healing work. We're going inward. We have to, again, clear our minds, clear our agendas. We have to either say, I think that's where I was going before. You either say, you know, this or that. And there are several different approaches. And if you're not upset, that's what I was saying with the shadow work. If you're not upset at the person, you feel like you can't do shadow work, but then you really still can. It's just the kind of way that you get yourself going, that you get yourself starting to vent. And so if you're, let's say, okay, you want to do shadow work. And a lot of the times what you can do is pick an aspect in your life. Okay, well, I want to, my emotional, my relationship, maybe social isn't going quite as well as I want it to. So let's focus on that. Even if you don't know, even if you can't verbalize or, you know, think about what is exactly bugging you, you might have an idea. It's like, or another way again is to say, what ways could I improve? What areas of my life, if I could improve like 1 or 2 areas of my life right now, start with 1, you know, if I can improve it, what would it be? And a lot of people are going to say, you know, their relationship, their significant other, you know, for one, or money, you know, is a big one as well, depending. But all of these things, these are just different energies, you know, of our own selves being expressed into the world, coming from the inner, coming from the outer, coming obviously from a mixture, you know, of nurture and nature. So again, you come at it as, instead of what am I upset about? Well, I'm not upset about anything again. So it's not that I don't do shadow work. I say, well, what would I make better? If I could change 1 thing about this relationship, if I could change 10 things about this relationship, however, you know, you want to make a list and deal with it consecutively, if that's your jam, or just do 1 at a time and then go to the next one. But again, utilize your own, you know, talents and habits and natural, you know, wants and desires to kind of do this work. Because everybody does it at their own pace. Everybody does it, you know, you may, I always say, start off with the heavy shit. You may want to start off with the weak shit. Sometimes you have to break some rules and just do what feels best for you. And I really love that empowerment and in the Leo moon, I think, which is coming through. It's like, you know what? I am my own person. I'm going to put my own stamp on this because I know if I don't, then it's not going to be me. And I'm not even living. You're not even truly living unless you're putting your own unique stamp on things. So I think this is why we're also really being called to do the inner child healing and talk about that today, is because our moon is right smack dab in the middle of Leo. And that's very the sun, you know, tarot card, this energy of, yes, like, feel the goodness and get the good and just focus on the good and the healing. And the healing is for everyone. We want to, you know, children, we want all children to be happy, you know, like it's easier to spread the love to all the little children, the babies, you know what I mean? So yeah, again, it's always like, okay, love yourself, so cliche, like love yourself and others will love you. I say it all the time and I'm always like, so cliche, right? But it's like, love your child, love your inner child, go back and, the main thing with the trauma a lot of people have is that they are actually feeling guilty because they didn't stop the trauma that happened to them from happening. It's like trauma for not protecting your own self from trauma that somebody else should have protected you from in the first place. It's a lot of like this internalized shame that people deal with. Just a very common example of this. And you have to go in and cradle that inner child. Let that inner child cry the fuck it out. Because a lot of times this shit is bottled up, covered up, to where we don't even know this seeping, festering infection is going on. Again, in the playlists and the videos, I always talk about as a metaphor of the infection as well. So it's kind of all the same underlying process. So you got to get in there and just clean it all out, switch it up, and the ointment and the bandages, the clean stuff that you're putting on it, the fresh outlook is, again, just sometimes it's changing. It's realizing that maybe that's not what happened. You remember a detail, something happens, maybe that didn't happen. Maybe I'm putting too much importance on this. Maybe I should forgive somebody because this or that. Maybe I didn't know how bad they had it. Maybe I didn't know they were abused as a child. Maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt again just by projecting my inner child healing of my own shadow onto them. Again, it doesn't really matter what gets you there, but if you believe it and you feel it, then that's all you really need. And if you don't feel it, but you want to, then you can always ask for help from your guides. Ask for them to take things that you don't want. Take this envy, take this anger, take this whatever, take any of these negative, take any emotion anything that's not serving me at any given time. So again, we're just changing. We're just saying, you know what? I made this assumption about myself at 7 years old, and guess what? I now know that's not true, and I only thought that because of this situation. Again, just giving yourself time to kind of let these things bubble up, realizing that, okay, wow, and you kind of connect. You're kind of able to, if you chill with it and marinate with it for a minute, you're like, okay, that's why I think that, because it comes up like this is why it's so hard to explain, because it just happens. It's not something like you're like, okay, A, B, C, we're going to check off the list. I mean, yeah, we do have a list because I've tried to simplify it down and make it shareable so that anybody can do it. But ultimately, there's so many different ways that you can do it. There's so many different things that you can focus on. Some people might come to it this way. Some people might go this other way. It's just however it happens, it just flips and it just happens. And it's like you don't even have to work at it or like try. You don't have to memorize everything. You just have to do what I'm saying here. So again, all of these incorrect understandings, assumptions of the way you work, the way your energy is, the way your family is, the expectations of the way people are going to treat you, the way the world works, any of this energy flowing, social, emotional, financial. A lot of people are ingrained with ideas about finances that aren't true. You're never going to make any money. You're just going to make whatever people say sometimes can really throw us off. And it can be educational, it can be spiritual, it can be physical. I've heard of people, grandmas saying things to them like, oh, you'll always be single and fat, it's like, oh my God, like some people are just fucked up. And again, ultimately, who knows what her mom was saying to her or whatever, her sister, who knows? So are we going to be mad forever? Or are we going to decide to let things go? It just becomes like a given. It's a no-brainer, guys. It's a no-brainer. And it benefits you more than anybody else. So just do it. And if you don't feel it, but if you know it, then just say it and ask for it and it will happen. You're setting the intention. You're setting it out to happen. Okay, so I think that we've talked a little bit again kind of about some of the differences and like similarities between the switch, this SW and the itch part, the shadow work and the inner child healing. Again, you have kind of like past and present, and you kind of have like with yourself and others, and then just more like with yourself. I mean, you can't really heal other people's inner child. If you're wanting to heal like your partner or a loved one's inner child, the best thing to do is to heal your inner child, and then it's just going to rub off on whoever you're around, whoever you love. This is very serious work, so make room in your schedule for it. Make room to revisit it. Make room to deal with things as they come up, but also maybe just to kind of have a time, maybe at least once a week even, where you just go in and say, I'm going to deal with some old shit. Because it's almost like every day we might have more shit to deal with, depending on how we view life and what we're constantly attracting to ourselves in that moment or whatever. But it's like, you may have shit to deal with every single day. You know, we all do have on some levels shit to deal with every single day, but it's like, then you got to go back and deal with all like the backlog stuff. So it's good to like make a time period to go back and do that. So that way you can constantly be like, like really not treading water, but like covering some ground. You know what I mean? So they both flip, you know, the inner child healing and the shadow work both kind of flip. They both have some different aspects to them, but the bottom line is forgiveness. It's the inner child. It's going deeper into yourself. It's figuring out like what is reality. And so on one hand, with the switch work, you're flipping stuff a lot, and it's like there are numerous realities that are true, you know, and we're seeing these different things. And, you know, with the inner child healing work, we're seeing that the reality that we were living was false in some way, and we're going to change that. And that enables us, when we do the switch work, we're able to manifest better. That's why the switch work is connected with the law of attraction. And it's all about the holistic law of attraction because of these components of the law of attraction. The holistic components, which are the tarot, it is the 4 suits, the mental, which is the swords, and it's the emotional, which is the cups, and it is the fire, which is the actions, and then it is the pentacles, which is kind of the physical, spiritual, environmental aspects of what you get, what you deal with every day in your house, waking up, how you know, like your money, how much money you have to live, like your quality of life, basically. I think that's a great way to put it, as opposed to just like wealth, because it's not just about how much money you have, it's what you do with it. You could have the most money but have a really shitty life because you're so sick you're about to die. You know what I mean? And who would want to be you? Nobody. Everybody would rather be this poor guy who's got his health and vitality. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it. So anyway, I think I've kind of rambled up enough for today. I want to thank you. I feel really blessed to be able to bring this to you right now. I just think things are all going in the right motion. I think this is really necessary. So I hope that you do consider sharing and liking and subscribing and commenting and, you know, supporting me in any way that you can. I have donations. I have info. I have private readings. I have a private group for answering questions, consultations, all sorts of stuff. Go to KlaireeBerry.com and just check it out and see what I got on that first post there. Everything you need should be there. That is current. So thanks so much again. Take care, and I'll see you guys really, really soon. Much love and many blessings.